people who are going to make public comment that opted not to fill out a speaker card, please sign up and participate.
Hello, hi everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cindy Lee. I'm one of the new field representatives for School of Undergrad and Kaiser. I'm in charge of North Los Angeles, the schools in Pasadena. My school is Sierra Vista and Pasadena Elementary, so I look forward to working with the parents of the school and the community members. I'm actually also a graduate, so I live in the community. And another announcement is for District 5 and to staff and the board member, we're having a holiday event December 17th. It's a Wednesday, 4 to 6:30. It's going to be at Poultry. Once we have the flyer and the information finalized, I'll email to the board, and then we can RSVP. And if it's okay, I'll leave to have my business cards. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3, we have discussion and possible action, approval of the minutes for the general meeting of the board held on Wednesday, October 1st, which was tabled at the last meeting. The special meeting of the general board held on Monday, August 18th, also tabled previously, and the special meeting of the general board held on Monday, November 10th. Again, I apologize, Mr. Diaz is not here. We don't have the minutes for October 1st or August 18th. However, every board member does have the minutes for the last special meeting, Monday, November 10th. If you can go ahead and take a look at them. Somebody's going to make a motion to approve or amend.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. Which minutes am I approving?
November 10th.
Okay, November 10th, that's what I was looking for. I'm sorry, I heard it, but it's just good. Thank you. Anybody?
August 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes as provided with no amendments. Motion made by Ruben Chavez, seconded by Augie Rodriguez. And comment? Oh, public comment.
Under the rights of court stakeholders, California public citizens, any citizen, I would like to have a copy of these minutes made available to me.
Once they're approved.
Once they're approved, the law states again that documents handed out to a majority of a board are to be made available to members of the public without delay. As a stakeholder, and considering the last meeting has some interesting moments, I would like to be able to review those documentation to make sure that they properly reflected, that the documentation of the minutes properly reflect what happened at the last meeting. To not make those available, people who are at that last meeting who spoke, for example, hypothetically, their comments could be taken out of context. So it should be, when, especially in this type of situation, those minutes should be made available. I brought my computer here. I can't find them on the website. Okay? Again, the law states, I'm going to say this again, that when a member of the public asks for documentation made available in a meeting to a majority of the members present, you are to be given those documentation without delay. Thank you very much.
there any more public comment on this matter? On the approval of the minutes? There was a motion made by Ruben Chavez, seconded by Alden.
To approve the minutes of Monday, November 10th meeting. So,
All in favor of approval, raise your hand and say aye.
Don't have to say aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All opposed, raise your hand. 0. All opposing, raise your hand.
Abstain.
I'm sorry. All abstaining, raise your hand.
1, 2, 3.
The motion passes. 7-0-4.
Thank you.
So, if the abstentions would be 3 because Marlene doesn't vote, so I'm gonna lower it down 7-3. That makes 3.
When he does vote, it abstains. It's always a vote.
Can we just
Okay,
review
but
that?
if we do the recount, please, and all those approval of the minutes of Monday, November 10th, please raise your hand so I can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those opposed? All those abstain? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count equals 10. 6 yes, no 0, abstentions 4.
Motion passes. 6-0-4. Moving on to item 4, the treasurer's report regarding LA 32 finances. Discussion and possible action and approval of the LA 32 NC monthly expenditure report for November 2014. These are attachments A1 through A4, right? And the agenda says A3, but one was added after that we received after it came in. And Michelle, if you go ahead, please.
Monthly report for November 2014. We have it on the projector here, and over where you see letter A on the wall, you're welcome to step up there and look at it or take a picture of it because we didn't make copies for everyone. We apologize for that, but it's there. Attachment A1 is this one that you're viewing here. It gives you a maintenance report for Aaron. He was the 250. Monthly report that was already paid for. Then you have the public storage, which is 130, and the invoices are right underneath over there too. If you want to see A2, A3, and A4 in the bottom, they're all there. You're welcome to walk up there. I'll show you the invoices too right now. Okay. So A2, here we go. Public storage was paid. Public storage for the month of November is 130. A3, attachment A3 is the maintenance for the web, our website, 250. Attachment A4, which is page 1, and page 2, you'll see it was $20 for Rose Hill Recreational Center, is what it is. Rose Hill charges after 6 o'clock, is it? Was it 6 o'clock? And we're waiting for one more invoice from Chris, which is for the special meeting. She has not turned that one in because there's a certain way that she needs to generate an invoice. So she needs to send a bill to the department, and then the department sends her an invoice, and then she gives us the invoice, and then we give that to the funding department. So there's no more demand warrants. It's a totally new system now how things are paid. but Parks and Recs has to generate an invoice before, we give them. This is actually a permit that you're looking at, it's not an invoice. It's a permit that she still needs to give us. This is a permit that's gonna be generated into an invoice. So the total amount for the month of November is, $440. I'm gonna bring you back to that screen, which is this one. There you go. So what I just showed you earlier were the invoices, and here's now what you're looking at, the monthly report. Which was, I set up there, the webmaster, 250, public storage, 130, the ad hoc committee, October 29 at Rose Hill, $20, and November 10th, a special meeting at Rose Hill as well, $40, which is 440. And if you want to physically see them, it's right there where it says letter A on that wall. You can see all of them right there.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move the motion to pass, approve the report, the treasurer's report
For November?
for November, for the month of November 2014.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Anybody?
Second by Capricia. Is there any public comment on this? Sir? Mr. Crick?
Point of order. Whenever a finance report is submitted and approved for a motion, it's always approved subject to audit. Those have to be in there. You have to say subject to audit. Therefore, even though it's been approved, it has not been audited. Therefore, you're approved and nothing, okay? That's just a point of order.
I'd like to amend my motion, subject to audit, added to what I already asked.
Do you have the motion?
Noted. Motion by Mr. Childs to accept treasurer's report for November 2014, subject to audit. Second by Capricia.
Any other public comment? Board comment? We've already called we said board comment at this point. I asked for public comment.
That's for raising our hand.
You didn't raise your hand.
Both at the same time.
Your call.
We'll give you 1 minute.
Yeah, it's your call, Madam President.
Thanks for the extreme consideration. Oddly enough, that's what the whole idea is, supposed to be easier to listen to the community. Me as a stakeholder would like to advise the board that on this particular motion, it's okay that you guys move along and approve the expenditures report. But keep in mind that those board members who were not present at the last meeting, nor were on the board, can take a position. You can't vote on approving something like that. Why? Because you weren't even a board member. Same thing that happened just about 4 or 5 minutes ago when you approved the minutes. Those people who raise their hand and says, why approve the minutes? You can't approve the minutes because you weren't a board member at the past meeting. So if you go back and check the tabulation, it was 5-5. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Most important thing for a neighborhood council, in my opinion, to be open and transparent about the finances. You had your agenda up 72 hours in advance. Financial documentation should be put there accordingly. Okay, I would seriously recommend taking this motion back and redoing this properly so that the community stakeholders can look at this within the guidelines specified by the Brown Act. And again, under the Brown Act, I have a right to have documentation made available without delay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Are we ready to go ahead and take a vote? There's no more public comment, right? Thank you. And just so the board knows that everything was posted on the web and physical. So we're going to do a roll call vote.
Okay. So, Marlene? Cynthia? No, and that was to approve the report.
No, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Angela?
Yes.
Yes. Capricia?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Grisana? Gama? Yes. Michelle,
Yes.
Augie, Yoli, abstain. Ruben Chavez?
Yes.
Yes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yes and 2 abstentions.
Motion passes. Monthly expenditure report for November 2014 is approved as submitted. Thank you, Michelle. Item number 5 is our speaker series, and this evening we have an update from Metro on the 710 freeway. And I'm not sure who's going to be speaking. You are? Okay. I'm going to bring the microphone to you. We did give you 8 minutes of presentation on the agenda, and then we will go ahead and take 7 minutes of questions, answers from the public.
Good evening, my name is Vincent Gonzalez. I'm the Community Relations Manager for Metro for the State Route 710 North Study. I'm joined by my colleague, Cleve Govan from Metro Highway Program, who's also working on the study as well. I would first like to thank the board for requesting the status update. It's the last time we made a presentation to the board was back in July 2013, so it's been some time. I would also like to point out that we provided the board members as well as copies of our overview fact sheet that you have in your possession, as well as fact versus fiction, frequently asked questions, and also each of the 5 alternatives for your review and later review. So as we go out and actually been making presentations to the communities, we hear a lot of the same questions that are being asked to us. So one of the responses is that we wanted to create a presentation that was getting more back to basics and answering some of the more many of the basic questions that we keep hearing about the study, why it's needed, and what is the purpose of the study. So why don't we go ahead and get started, take a look at the first image. So what is the North 710 study is one of the questions that was asked. We really have to go back to the passage of Measure R in 2008, which mandated transportation upgrades throughout LA County, and this was passed by 2/3 of LA County voters. And Measure R also specifically allocated $780 million for the 710 North congestion relief effort. So with that directive, Caltrans and Metro are studying mobility and possible traffic solutions within Northeast Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, and Western San Gabriel Valley. And with this directive, we have the 5 multimodal alternatives. We are being equally evaluated. So all of them are being studied equally and evaluated equally, and no decisions have been made today.
I just want to point out my name is Cleve Govan, as you mentioned, Senior Environmental Specialist with Metro. I was previously employed by Caltrans, but I retired now. I'm with Metro. Give you background. What is the study area? We studied very comprehensive areas under square miles. It's bounded on the west by Route 5 and Route 2. It's bounded on the south by the I-10 freeway. Bounded on the west by, on the east by the 605 freeway, and on the north by the 210 freeway. And we studied that area, and that's where we are at this point.
So the next question that we would like to ask is, what is the study process? So the study process actually began back during scoping and progressed to the alternatives analysis report. So the alternatives analysis report identified the 5 alternatives. All this information is posted on our Metro webpage for the State Route 710 North study. The alternatives analysis report was released back in January 2013. The next major milestone that we are looking at is the release of the draft environmental document. And that is anticipated to be slated for February 2015. So the draft environmental document will evaluate all of the 5 alternatives and identifies key findings for each of them. We will also then proceed to a public hearing. So Caltrans has determined to hold 2 public hearings. They've extended the state requirement of a 45-day public comment period to 90 days to allow stakeholders to provide additional time to provide their comments to Caltrans and Metro. The next major milestone would be the identification of the preferred alternative, and this will not occur until the final document is prepared, and that is anticipated to be released sometime in 2016.
Okay, why is the study yet needed? The current transportation network was started more than half a century ago, but was never completed. From 1960 to 2010, the study area population grew by over 500,000 people, from approximately 772,000 to approximately 1,300,000. That's according to U.S. Census data. The study area is forecast to have a population of 1.33 million people and an employment base of 500,000 jobs by 2035. This is according to SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments. Weekday delays cost taxpayers $20 million annually and increases carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 5,000 tons annually. This is based on annual urban mobility report 2012. This is equal to approximately the weight of 2,800 passenger cars. Population growth means more traffic congestion, accidents, air pollutants, and related illnesses, and diminished quality of life in San Diego Valley, East Northeast Los Angeles region.
So what are the goals of the State Route 710 study? The study will identify transportation solutions to improve travel time, mobility, and connectivity between the 10 and the 210 freeways. Currently, users of our freeway network have to travel about 12 miles in between the 2 freeway and the 605 freeway. There are no north-south connectors. We are also looking at reducing congestion on the freeways and local streets. We are looking at increasing transit ridership on our buses, and also to minimize environmental impacts due to traffic congestion. Currently, we also experience, many of the communities experience cut-through traffic because there is no through traffic north-south connection between the 10 and the 210 freeway. Also, to assure consistency with the regional transportation plan that is prepared by the Southern California Association of Government, and to also maximize taxpayer value.
Okay, what are all the alternatives under consideration? As already mentioned, there are 5 alternatives that are going to be considered in the draft environmental document. One is the bus rapid transit. This is an express buses for longer trips at high speeds that serves the communities between Los Angeles and Pasadena. With connections in bus service to adjacent communities, greater frequency of bus service, minimal stops, and potential dedicated bus lanes during peak periods. You've seen a lot of that now, that a lot of bus rapid transit operating at present. The next alternative under consideration is the freeway tunnel. This would extend the 710 as an underground roadway starting from Valley Boulevard north to the 210 freeway, 710 up in Pasadena. There are going to be variations including single or twin bore tunnels, with or without tolls, with without trucks, and without express bus service lanes. There are also the light rail transit. This would serve communities from East Los Angeles to Pasadena with connection bus services for passengers traveling to adjacent communities. And the no build, which really means none of this project would be involved in it. And the transportation system demand management, transportation demand management, that's TSM TDM alternative. That's just signalization, widening streets, etc.
wanted to give you a little bit more detail.
A little bit more detail.
I don't need that either. Is this available?
It is available, I could make this available, but we talked to the neighborhood council, I can send you what we have a PowerPoint presentation, so if you wanted to retain that, we go ahead and do so.
Okay.
But if I could just wrap up by saying we do have collateral materials at the back of the room. They are available for everyone's review. They're both in English and Spanish. And as we move forward, I just also wanted to point out at the completion of this presentation, we do have contact information. Again, everything is on the webpage, and we have a lot of information in the back for it.
Okay, and we're gonna take some questions also. So if anybody has a question that they wanna ask them, can you go ahead and please line up there, please? Okay, but that, I'm not gonna count that in the question answer. You have a public comment? Right? Do you have a question that needs to be answered or just a public comment? Yeah. Okay. Just two? Three? I wanna ask you to, I wanna ask you to come and stand up here.
Tom Williams. Been working on 710 for about 20 years, 25 years now. Basics. The city of Los Angeles has two resolutions. Number one says no F7, which is the basis for the proposed tunnel alternative. It also says no construction, that is, the portal shall begin and end south of Valley Boulevard. Well, they don't show you that the portal extends about 800 feet north of Valley Boulevard. So, question, is the Valley Boulevard portal going to be south or extend north of Valley Boulevard?
It starts south of Valley Boulevard.
It starts, where does it end?
It ends underground.
It ends underground. That is 800 feet north of Valley Boulevard, as shown by the drawings that you have provided in the Technical Advisory Committee, and even on some of the documents. It goes north of Valley Boulevard. The portal, as defined by general tunneling experts, is that portion which might say from the change of grade till the beginning of the bored tunnel. In the first set of drawings that were provided to the public, you identified it as portal from the beginning to the end at the transition between the cut and cover and the bored tunnel. It's basically not in compliance with the city council resolution and will be an issue in February and March. Thank you.
Thank you.
In a word, we have no response.
Okay, well, okay. Now we're gonna come out of public comment and a question, but for the question, if you could just please keep it a question, not a comment question to the gentleman and let them answer. Thank you.
Actually, too, is that pretty much locked in the tunnel method then? And Mr. Williams, always good points. Is that locked in the tunnel method below ground? Is that the way
That's the alternative. It's
one of the alternatives?
It's a tunnel alternative. We're going to have two boards. It's going to start south of Valley and go underground into that.
And is that going to be primarily a toll road for commerce or mixed residential?
Tolls and no tolls.
Tolls and no tolls. Okay.
We also studied as well variations to the freeway toll alternative with trucks and with trucks.
Hopefully we'll hear more about that. Of the $780 million that was earmarked for 710 on Rock Bar. Measure line, sorry. Does that have an expiration date in order for us to remember spending that money? How's that money been spent? How much is left in that 780 at this point? Do we have any figures on that?
Roughly I think we probably spent $34 million.
And how they were going to the, Asterisk, you know, when they were going around and doing all the digging and trying to find out.
Roughly 34 million, most of that's on the environment, and public health.
All right, thank you. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been at this for a long time too. I work with my brother Val Marcus and helping him go from door to door, meeting to meeting. What I don't understand at this point, why is it that we do not have a community advisory board for this? Where is that community advisory board? The state of California requires any type of project this big that taxpayers' money is going to be used for you to have a community advisory board. And it is very difficult. I want to thank some of you that have come up and asked questions, which they're very valid and good for me to understand. But what about the rest of the people that live here? There should be a meeting strictly for this. And I think this has been a failure on the Metro side and anyone that is handling this. And we as a community need to request that. It's a community advisory board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Metro? Nobody? Okay. Oh, yes, Steve, there's Steve.
Thank you for the questions. I'd like to respond to the last one. We actually do have 2 advisory committees that have been established for this project. One of them is a technical advisory committee.
Ms. Marquez, he's answering your question. He's answering her question.
He's responding to your question.
One of them is a technical advisory committee. And the second is the Stakeholder Outreach Advisory Committee, which is made up of representatives and appointees from the various communities within the study area. Many of them are planning commissioners. Some of them now are city council members as well. We are also looking at expanding the Stakeholder Outreach Advisory Committee. Recently, Ron Mackay has been appointed to the advisory committee, and he's representing East Los Angeles. We are now looking at expanding that to include other representation in the study area.
I've been with this project for 30 years, so I've seen pretty much everything. Yeah, no, I beat you too. Yeah, it's been a struggle. I'm 71 years old. I started when I was, good Lord, 40, I believe, something like that. Historically, we've always had community participation on this project. I remember we had a mitigation and enhancement advisory committee back in the 1980s. And more recent than that, we had a design advisory group that worked on this. That's when we had the surface alternatives. I just wanted to make that point that we've never objected to citizen participation. As a matter of fact, we've encouraged it. I know everyone in South Pasadena. I know there are people in El Sereno that I've met over the years. I have no animosity toward anyone. Our objective is to try and provide transportation and mobility in Los Angeles County. Any way we can do it. If we can do it with a multimodal solution, we'll do that. And we can do it with a combination of a freeway and light rail or whatever, we'll do that. We've got a problem in Los Angeles County. We've got a huge population increase coming at us. And we've got to find some way to accommodate that. That's my point. There are people who disagree with me, but I just wanted to make that publicly stated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Speedy Gonzalez, huh?
Thank you, gentlemen, and Ms. Padilla as well for Metro for coming and for providing the information. And if you do get us that PowerPoint, are you saving it, Michelle? Then we'll go ahead and put it up on the website. And we're going to move on to item number 6. This is a discussion and possible action regarding some changes to the LA 32 Neighborhood Council bylaws. There's 3 separate motions in regard to this. We're going to take each one separately, and I would like to say that all these motions came out of the bylaws committee on 9/22. The amendments, the proposed amendments, have been posted for at least 30 days. It's actually been well over at this point. I'm sorry, can we please not speak while we're conducting business? 6A is that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council, this is the motion, that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council reduce the general board from 21 members to 15 members. I'm sure we have some public comments on this. So for 6A,
For 6, 1, 4. Yeah, well, just a little bit, we just more 6.
Mr. Pacheco, 6, you put 6. Is that A, B, or C? All 3? How about, who's the next one? Mr. Manzana. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do 1 minute public comment on this. I expect that it's gonna be lengthy, and we do have a limited amount of time. And I really need you guys to stick to the agenda specific item, please. So with 1 minute, hopefully that helps you stick to your topic.
Okay, so the first speaker, Mr. Hugo Pacheco.
Yeah, he died already.
Mr. Chavez.
Sorry.
That's the first time you're on the board. I'm sorry, Mr. Pacheco, hold on.
Next, Anthony Manzano and Tom Williams, if you could be on standby, please.
Yeah, I would like to get information concerning the California Government Code, Section 2505. It talks about whether or not you can actually make a decision. And the fact that the people that are on the board right now were chosen last time by what I consider to be an equal number of people who are formed. The government code says if it's stated in our bylaw that 21 people should be on the board, 11 people should be formed. Period. Nothing else. So anyone that got voted in the last time was illegally voted out, as far as I'm concerned. The other thing is, we've been working this issue from the very beginning. This is nothing but a directive from Dunn based on nothing. There is no records, no nothing that indicates that this needs to be reduced from 21 to 15. On top of that, over all these period of time, both at the committee level and here before the body, we've never said that we wanted to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, directors. My name is Anthony Manzano, and I'm going to speak to the item. Wishing I had an agenda before me. I think it's a little foolish, to keep saying that it's up on the wall because the stakeholders really need one. You know that because most of you have been a stakeholder. Not specifically to the point though. If you guys even consider taking a position on something like this, just like I mentioned during public comment, you're contradicting yourself because the board already has a motion standing that states once you're released from exhaustive efforts, you automatically go back to 11 for quorum. But since the department has not released you guys from exhaustive efforts, that motion is still open and standing, waiting for you to be released. Once the department releases you guys from exhaustive efforts, then you guys might be able to consider and take this before the board and vote on it. Because you can't have two contradicting positions, one saying, yes, we're going to move ourselves back up from exhaustive efforts, and then this one today saying we're going to move ourselves down. So basically, you really have to think of what you're doing. Like I said during public comment, you're contradicting yourself, and doing so, or following through with something like this, and maybe just not holding it over until the department says drop exhaustive efforts, will create another grievance. Thank you.
Next, Tom Williams and Scott Johnson.
I have a very simple one. keep it at the existing level, or actually expand it by 3. That's his, let's have a veterans representative, since we have a lot of veterans around here, and they are underrepresented. Seniors, you're in the Senior Citizens Center, and you have no senior representative. And we used to think about, or there was some consideration for a junior representative. You got senior, juniors, those in between. Don't we have anyone that wants to represent those below the age of 21? Maybe just one. So I would highly recommend increasing it by at least 2, if not 3, or maybe 4. And put the money to outreach. Because outreach will always be the ultimate resolution. If you can't get the outreach, no matter how small you reduce it, it's going to not work. Thank you.
Yes, good evening again, everybody. We need to refresh this board's memory. A citizen petition, community petition, with close to 100 signatures was submitted to this board to be heard, stating that, first of all, the vacancies up to 21 be filled. That petition has never been given the light of day to be discussed among this board. Second, you had a board member, who currently has a suit against the city of Los Angeles over representation of a community called Rose Hills. And they are asking for financial compensation for their lawsuit. Lastly, this should be a teachable moment here for all of our board members, and I want to take the time to thank some of the younger board members here who took the time at the last meeting and listen. We need to be more inclusive, not exclusive. Keep it at 21. Thank you very much.
Okay, prior to the board comment, I don't know if all of you know Ms. Amber Mishak from Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. She's currently taking over as the neighborhood advocate analyst for us here at LA 32. So thank you for coming. And she is going to address a couple of the comments right now in regards to these bylaw amendments.
So thanks for introducing me. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm here available to answer questions or be a resource as you're moving through this process. And I wasn't involved with the development of all the specific recommendations, but I do know that one of the last steps of your exhaustive efforts process is to revise your bylaws and to establish standing rules. So I'll be working with you through that process. The board has the authority to do that under the citywide, the plan for a citywide system of neighborhood councils. Each board has the authority to amend its bylaws, and as long as it's in keeping with the plan and other guidelines to, that you're under, then you're within your authority to do this. And modifying the size of your board is something that's not unusual. Many neighborhood councils have done it for various reasons, and with our advice, and unless it's explicitly disfranchising a particular segment of the community, a lot of times it's just a practical solution to just the board operations. So that's the general comment, and then if you have specific questions, I'm here for the meeting. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
I think not at this point, but she's saying she'll be here available.
Yeah, not at the moment. We're going to let the board continue with its deliberation this time. We don't want to, that we need to stick with the agenda.
But she'll be available for questions.
I'll be available, and I'll also give out my contact information.
My question is about the actual disenfranchising definition.
You can.
there's, like I said, I don't wanna get off the thing, there's no specific definition, it would be everything that they do in terms of every neighborhood council board that amends bylaws has to submit them to our department for review, and generally, board composition changes will also go before the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, and, who will make the final, judgment about the changes.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and proceed with our board deliberation. Is there, let's see, okay. Oh, no, we need, is there any comment concern from the board? Lisa?
So what is the reason why we want to reduce? What is it because of participation or, you know,
I mean, you're saying we want to reduce, that's not the case. When we came on board here, and when I say we, I mean this current board, we inherited, a situation in which the board was in exhaustive efforts. And there were a number of mandates that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment placed on the board in order to get off of exhaustive efforts. One of them was entertaining the idea of reducing the board, or at least voting on it, putting it out there, voting on it. So that's why we're doing this. Angela?
downsizing it from 21 to 15. Look at this map. How many are we now? We're about 16, 17 board members.
Yeah, sure.
And we still have problems with that.
Cannot hear her.
So my question is, what is the benefit? Why is the department recommending the downsize from 21 to 15? Not the exhausted efforts, but what was the signification behind that? Do we know?
Do I have
Yes, why 15 versus 21? What's the purpose of it? And not because of exhausted efforts. When we were placed on exhausted efforts, the purpose was, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we were to review this item only. We don't have to agree to it. We don't have to downsize it if we choose. We don't want to. The problem that I see is the lack of participation. The more board members we have, the more outreach that we can do in order to bring people to our community, to our meetings. That's the goal of what we're here to do, is to serve our community. Other than that, what's the purpose? And it still hasn't been clear to me. What is the benefit of downsizing from 21 to 15? If from 21 former boards, we've always had quorum, and it seems like here at this board, we don't. So what's the purpose? Thank you.
I need to make a quick announcement. There's 2 vehicles parking. The handicap, this lady that just left, she's handicapped severely. She needs the pickup that's there and an SUV that came in about the same time I got here. Black SUV parked up there, blocking the first handicap. My apologies to the board and the constituents for my interruption, but I think they had a priority over anything. She's severely handicapped.
Is there any other?
No, I just want an answer on that.
So I was not involved in the development of these, the recommendations or the actual exhaustive efforts plan, so I can't speak to the history. But just in general, typically when boards reduce their size, it's due to quorum issues. So I don't know what the history has been with that here, but that's typically one of the major things that'll even get you into exhaustive efforts. So I would imagine that that's part of the problem. And so we have seen boards that have successfully downsized, and then you always have the option to add seats back in. So, you know, it could be a transitional plan, right? So you're right, you don't have to take the recommendation. However, you know, if you are facing quorum issues, this is one way to address it. And if you continue to face quorum issues, you can see yourselves back in exhaustive efforts, or, you know, worst case scenario, facing decertification, which, I mean, you come so far in this process, I don't see that occurring, but that would be my general understanding. Like I said, I don't have the history of this board and what you face and where that specific number came from, but it's pretty standard process. There.
Yeah, if I can get my.
So, I had attended one of the bylaws committees where they actually were discussing this, not as a voting member, just because I thought it was interesting and I find bylaws very fascinating. And so some of the history was that, in reviewing the bylaws, they had felt that there was, a need to reduce the number as they had touched upon, for practical issues such as quorum, because right now it would be, if we have 21, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if it's simple majority, it's 50 plus 1, so it'd be, but, yeah. And then reducing it would reduce the number required for the number of people here for quorum. And so, you're correct though, it's up to the board to decide whether or not we want to do this. It's a proposed revision, and so if the board feels that they would like to revise it in this way, then they can. And keep in mind, during elections, we have plenty of seats that run uncontested. We have the South Region who only had one representative, so that's just to add some context as well as where they were coming from. I think that they were concerned that there wasn't enough community engagement in that aspect, but whether or not that's the right solution, I'll leave it up to the board. I'm speaking from experience from working for a nonprofit company on their board of directors. Having too many people on a board can lead to a problem that Athens faced, which was having too many people bicker led to the destruction of their democracy and actually killed Socrates. Just a small historical fact right there. But and there's other ways to engage the community as well, because the board is for the governing body of the neighborhood council, and so we do have committees. We do have various areas that people can get involved with, and so those are just a few points to bring up. But like at the end of the day, you said it's up to the discretion of the board.
I'm gonna ask anyone on this side, if you have comments, if we could just pass the mic around so that we don't have to be walking around. Cecilia?
Yeah, personally from, experience, I've been on, a committee that's had over 30 people, and it's really hard to operate and make, decisions and, get what everybody else wants. So, yeah, I think that it'll be good, just because, we wanna work towards getting all of it exhausted afterwards. And if working towards quorum, I mean, it's as simple as getting people here. It's as simple as taking one position away where people haven't ran for, like next time we pass one person ran for the South region. So I think overall it'll make it more effective. Thank you.
I'll make one last comment. I think we should keep it at 21. I think the board, we need to get more active stakeholders and board members that are currently on the board involved. So I particularly ask the board to please reconsider this, and we can work on it. I think we have to disagree on issues, but we can do it respectfully, just like we are doing today. So I don't believe that downsizing is going to really solve our problem. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to move the motion. I would like to move the motion.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to continue discussion on it. Anything?
I would say that based on past experience, the board was large and there was a lot of conflict between board members. So I think that having following the recommendation would be a point to try to make things better for the community. If that doesn't work, then we can always try increasing later. But I think it's a good move to try to make this neighborhood council functional. And so we can have meetings that take place, quorums. And also something that I noticed previously before is A lot of people talk about, a lot of board members talk about outreach is important, and it is important. However, it would be the same handful of board members who would participate doing outreach. So just because you have a larger board, it doesn't mean you're gonna have more outreach. Sometimes having just a small core group does all the work, and just having more members doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna be more functional or doing more outreach. So I would recommend to support the motion.
I agree with Yoli on this one, because we've had several outreach events, and I can contest that it's only been myself, Michelle, Cynthia who's helped us, Capricia, Yoli, and the stakeholders as well, Mr. Steve over there, he's helped us, and our president, and that's it. So to say that, to have more board members would be more outreach, I don't think to have more, again, to have more number of people, just to say they're on the board, and then not help out, I'm the outreach chair, so I'm the one that starts doing all the work with Michelle. So, I'm asking for your support, but again, sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. But to reduce the board would be better.
Michelle?
I went to some meetings from the former board, and they were 21, and big group, always arguing against each other, and it was something that they just couldn't communicate with each other. It was a little bit challenging because of different personalities. This group took office on May 7th, and it's a small group, and we may not be 21, but we are enough to get it going, to get it off the exhausted efforts. 15 is a good number, 21 is not a good number. That's just too many people on the board. 15 is a number that will help us, and not only downsizing will help, but it's kind of like what Dama said, building 21, the people here don't go to the outreach committees, and they get invited, and they get told, and community gets told, and we put everything on website, we put everything on Facebook, and everyone gets the email blast, board members get the email. So when you really sit down and look at it, it's something that, just because we go 21 doesn't mean we're gonna go more on outreach, no. I think with what we have right now, these 15, all of us right here, we just really work with what we have in our hands. And some of us here are chairs to what we have. And it's not gonna be something that's gonna overwhelm us, because if we took the chair and we said, I want this chair, then that means that person's gonna be able to do it. Because I've already spoke to some of my colleagues here who are chairs, and they seem to be very interested on sharing that and taking on it. And the 1-2 board members that they have, or community members, they're moving forward with that. So it's not something that's gonna exhaust the individual, or dear life, there's just, too many committees. And we take it with little steps. We don't have to take on all the entire committees. We start with a little bit, and then from there we move a little more forward. So I think 15 is actually just fine the way it is. It should stay exactly where it's at.
Thank you. Cynthia? What I have to say is that when the elections process began, there was an announcement there would be 21 seats. And many people came out, as many as could, and they promoted themselves. They went out and they decided they were going to run, so they campaigned, and they got as many people to come out and vote for them. Now, many of these people that have dedicated their time to do this knew it was a 21-seat board at that time. This was before this incarnation. And now we have only 12 members that are still involved. What about those people that went out there and people came out to vote for them? They deserve the opportunity to come out and sit on this board. Whether they stay for the next month or the next 2 months, that's their prerogative. But they did go out there. They did solicit their votes. They did campaign. They did take it to the next level. They did their best to get voted. And the numbers are there. They're there on our website. And it states that these people, individuals, took the time to actually campaign and they were voted in. So I feel the 21 should be filled.
because that's what we started. We started the election process with 21, we promised 21 seats. There were 4 from each region and 5 at large. My position at this point, I'm an at-large candidate. I was voted in. I was the second highest ranking in votes. Now, that would remain myself and the first at-large voting person that was voted in with the largest number upon myself. What happens to the other 3 members that waited idly by and sat and voted and had people come and vote for them? What happens to them? Are they not here? Were they not nominated? Were they not informed to come back? That's my concern. Was there any emails, any outreach to these individuals to come back and say, we still have 21 seats per our bylaws? Come back and take your seat. If that process wasn't done, then we are most definitely disenfranchising our board. Thank you.
I do want to say something this time. Just to address a couple of the concerns. When Cynthia, we did get permission from Dan to fill 4 seats. 4 seats were all, they weren't letting us fill all 21. I'm talking about the last election last month. And everybody was emailed. Everybody was emailed. I think the only email I didn't have was Ari Reese, and you said you had it and that you get it to him. It's not on the website. Anyhow, everybody showed up. Everyone who ran showed up. I think with the exception of, I don't know his name. One guy, Maria Miranda didn't show up, and Tomo didn't show up, and Tomo came and made public comment, but he was invited and he didn't come. So, and then I just want to respond to some of your concerns. I'm not taking a position on the actual topic. Yeah, let me go.
From the time that we did all of this to the time that we just did this last month, that's a long time. People lose interest. You haven't communicated with them, you haven't called them,
Are you saying that I should have been in contact with the candidates who didn't take office as a continuous basis?
I don't think personally, but it was out there that these people would be next in line to fill these seats. And they were expecting it. And I know for a fact because I spoke to several of them, and they would instantly message me, they would email me, call me, and I said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, it's not being done.
And are these people who didn't show up last month?
That is correct, because they didn't show up.
But I mean, I know that they were, well, Luisana also ran it, and she showed up.
Can't hear anybody.
It was a special meeting. The location was not at the same place, and many of you showed up here, and it was not even at this right location. So the problem that I had from the previous meeting is it was the candidates, because I spoke to many of them that you did email, and Sam was one of them. It was such a last-minute special meeting that they really didn't have the opportunity to take time off of work or change their schedule because they couldn't. I'm sure they were interested because I did receive emails on that. The problem was the way it was handled. So I think if you are going to fill a vacancy, it should have been done at a regularly scheduled meeting, and I'm sure you would have had the people who went out to the candidates. Thank you.
Just to get back on topic about what we're talking about changing the number. Personally, well, from my background in political science, we are typically taught that small groups are more effective, and the board and community members, we all have a common goal to better the community. And if we want to better the community, one way is to have really effective, tight, close board, and that's just looking for the practical and logical.
So we've heard a number of board members that are in favor of reducing it. I think I had one that was opposed. Is there anybody else who wants to speak, have a comment for this? Board, we did public comment already.
I don't necessarily have a comment. I just wanted to address for these bylaw revisions this isn't, we can still propose additional revisions, and I did like the possibility of having designated areas of focus for certain representatives, like a senior citizen representative or a youth representative. And so we can even look into revising some of the ones we have now that are at large and maybe designating an area of focus for them. But I just wanted to leave a comment on that for future reference.
Anybody else? Again, anybody that wants to speak against? I actually, I'm waiting, I want to see if Ruben, if he has something to say against it, I'd like him to get his word in, and here he comes.
I went to the bathroom.
Mr. Chavez, are you joining us?
Yes, I went to the bathroom. Can the person take a long time?
Did you take the newspaper with you? Okay, I just need to ask you if you have a position on this, if you'd like to state a position. We've had mostly for reducing, so I'm kind of looking for some against, if you have any reason against, or either.
The number of the board members, right? Yeah, I like the larger number, because I feel that that really represents the community at large. This is in any kind of meeting. The more people you have in that meeting, wherever we are, whatever the issues are brought to them, it represents whatever that organization is doing in wherever they're at, or what the people have to say. Okay, so I'm definitely for the larger number of board members. I've been there since the very beginning. And I respect anyone that doesn't agree with me. I respect their point of view. They're entitled to it. That's democracy at work.
I see your hand up in the back, and I have to apologize to you, but we've already done public comment. There are two other motions on the topic, though, that you're welcome to speak about when we're on the topic. Is there any more board discussion? Nobody? Is Cynthia? Oh, he's coming back? I thought he left. Oh, he might get his medicine. Okay.
Under, under, it's called personal privilege. One of the personal privilege. That's because you open the door, whatever. You would have.
There you go. I'm sorry, I don't know why you have your hand up. But I'm gonna ask you to speak at the next item, 60. Augie, did you have anything else to say on this topic? No? Cynthia? Anything else? Otherwise, nobody else has any more discussion?
I have another comment I'd like to add. Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to add that unfortunately, no matter how large the number of people, in this case board members are, like I said, using any group anywhere, you need that large group because we all have a life to live besides what we do here. And when we're in committees, it takes a lot of time and whatever it is to do with the committee that you're part of to do that outreach for the public. So unfortunately, like anything else, where I'm going with this, is it's always the few. Even though you folks want larger numbers, it's always going to be the few because as much as they want to participate, sometimes they can't, and it's always going to be the few to get things done, and that's anywhere in any organization. It's always the few.
Thank you. I think we're ready to vote okay, we're ready to go ahead and take a vote on the motion that was moved by Capricia, seconded by Michelle. And that is that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council reduce the general board from 21 members to 15 members. I would like to say that for the bylaws, this does require a 2/3 vote. It's not just a majority. 2/3 of the members of the directors present. Today we have 12 directors present, so we need a vote of 8. We have 12? 2/3 of 12. 8, according to my calculation.
Can you vote on this also?
I can vote on anything. I can make or break. I mean, make or sign. Break the tie or make a tie?
Does that number include abstentions as well, or no?
It just says 2/3 vote of the directors present. So if you abstain, then your vote does not count as an approval.
But it is a vote though.
But you do count in as the 2/3, yeah. But your vote, yeah, it's not counted as an approval. We need eight approvals for this to pass. And like Amber said, that's not the final determination. It then goes to the department and I guess also to the board if we have a couple of questions. Okay, so we have to have 8 yeses. That is written in somewhere else when it talks about quorum and majority, but this specifically states 2/3 vote of the directors present.
Can you read the motion again over, please?
I will. There is nothing after it that says minus abstentions, like it does say that somewhere else in here, in regards to regular voting on other things. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the motion by Mr. Chavez. The motion is that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council reduce the general board from 21 members to 15 members. We're going to go.
All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those not in favor, no. 1, 2, 3. All those 4. I didn't see it. 4.
I need my glasses.
Abstentions, please raise your hands. Somebody didn't vote.
What number are we at?
Take another count. Take another count. Simple.
Okay.
Easy, take another count.
So then it's 7, count 7, yes, and no 4s.
Take another count.
I haven't abstained.
7 yes, 4 no, and then you abstain.
I haven't abstained.
No, I know.
Break of the vote. Up to her now. Down to one person.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was just seeking clarification because some chairs can only make or break the vote and not vote on a regular basis. I know I usually abstain. I said to make or break a tie, it's not a tie. So I wanted to clarify whether or not I can take a regular vote.
This is not a tie. 2/3 vote.
I understand, but I'm debating whether or not I'm gonna vote. I haven't abstained yet. I was seeking clarification because I think the past board, the chair didn't vote. I can. So just to clarify to everyone that as the chair, I can vote. I usually don't. In this case, I will go ahead and vote, and I'm going to vote to approve.
So you have 8 yes, 4 and 0. Motion passes.
I know, we won. You take the vote.
Because now we review that, so this was our last standing issue from the office of the best. So once the previous motion was, as soon as we moved off the software efforts, or we immediately go down to So my question is, how does this motion supersede the original motion that was made?
Well, it's not superseded because it's your bylaws, so use money from, So again, I don't have all the history on the whole process of, what led to exhaustive efforts, but as my understanding is that this by you taking this action and exercising your authority as a board to make this decision, then this is what counts. This is what as long as the department and the board of commissioners approves your amendment, then this is what's going to be honored. And so it wasn't just amending this piece of the bylaws, it was an overall bylaw revision that was a condition of your exhaustive efforts, and also setting up standing rules, which I'm happy to work with you, and I was gonna offer to send you guys some samples if you haven't already seen them from other neighborhood councils, and to kind of help you through that process as well. So those are the two remaining. So this is just one part. You could look at the whole of your bylaws if there's other provisions that you feel that you need to address or revise.
We can do that on our own now, after we're off of the exhaustive efforts.
Yes.
So do we have to wait until the commissioners and go through that whole process before we place off the exhaustive effort?
I have to speak with management about when the exhaustive efforts will be released, but I do know that the bylaw revision and the standing rules establishment still, need to take place. So I will get clarification on this exact, timing of the release, but I will work with you to make it as expeditious as possible.
I want to ask you something. We did have a standing rules committee not too long ago, and they did have 2 meetings. Is that correct, Mr. Pacheco?
The last one?
No, you were the chair of that standing committee.
I have not been answering it.
Okay,
You're the
that's
chair.
fine. That's fine.
You're the chair.
You're talking about the previous word.
Yeah.
It doesn't even.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Thank you. That's okay. We're moving on to item 6B. This is another motion also made by the bylaw committee on September 22nd, that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council reduce the number of each regions from 4 members to 3 members, and reduce the at-large directors from 4 members to 2 members. Now, this would bring the number to 15, and since we did just approve it to be passed, we'll have to figure out how to reduce it, and this was the proposal.
Do I get to keep my job or not, because I'm at large?
Nobody is going to be removed. If you read the letter that Dunn first gave us, even if, right now we don't have 15 members, and we do have a resignation that is on the agenda, so we are going to be filling a couple vacant seats anyhow. But had we had more than 15 members, nobody would be asked, nobody would have been removed from the board. We would continue at that number until there's a resignation or something, then we just wouldn't fill it once we hit 15. But that's not the case, so you're not fired.
I thought I was the number 1 on the list.
So I did read the motion. Is there anybody that's going to move the motion?
I'll move the motion.
Mr. Chavez, you want a second, Commissioner? Thank you. And I will go ahead and open up for public comment. I know we have some cards on this.
Mr. Chavez.
Mr. Capricia, second.
Okay, and the motion is that the LA 32 reduce the number of each region from 4 to 3 members, and reduce at-large directors from 4 members to 2 members. First on the list is Mr. Hugo Pacheco, and then I'll have Anthony Manzano on standby, please. And Tom Williams.
I'll get it.
I was asking about disenfranchisement. Let me tell you, from the very beginning, these other regions were disenfranchised. Because the way the vacancies were filled was just like Cynthia said. In the past, they were filled based on the people that actually ran. Not people that came later. People that have been involved and done things for this community. You effectively have listened to Dunn to disenfranchise these communities. Now, the only way to do this is to go back and to tell Dunn that it is not true. You do not need to reduce the number of people to get proper representation. From the very beginning, the South was disenfranchised. Other folks have been disenfranchised, and it is Dunn's fault. Thank you.
please.
Good evening, directors. Anthony Manzano speaking specifically on this item 6B, I believe. What we're watching is a form of disenfranchisement because oddly, 2/3 of you guys voted, but I'm wondering who are you guys listening to? You guys are taking positions, you guys are voting, you guys are even supporting certain ideas. But where's the stakeholder asking for this? Whoever's my at-large representative, who's ever my West Region representative, should be listening to the stakeholders from that area. And it seems that apparently you're not. And then to think that you guys want to consider the board to be more effective, I've been on this board, I've been here for 10 years. And this is the worst the board has ever been. So to reduce it's not going to help it. It's definitely not going to help it. And you guys just seen, the speaker before me mention that you guys are disenfranchising it. You guys do already have, I think, your 7th grievance coming, because now you guys have 2 open motions at the same time. And once you guys are releasing exhaustive efforts, I, as a stakeholder, I can expect the board to be increased back to 11 members for quorum. Thank you.
Tom Williams? You're not speaking, okay. Scott Johnson? And Ray Rodriguez? Andre, please.
Yes, we are working on good work tonight called disenfranchising the community. I'm sorry to see this. There was people who were on the last board that were giving the open hand to come on board when they were not on the first choice of candidates that went to the last election. And then he turned around and wanted to disenfranchise the other one when they were given an opportunity. Okay? This board here needs to be at 21. There are a lot of organizations in this community that sprang out of here because people don't want to come here when you're disenfranchised. They want to be invited. They want to get engaged. They want to get involved. But when I see new board members who just got elected, who do not take the time to intake information pertaining to the true past history of this board, and then to see the dumb representative here who is basically casually just saying, hey, you can go ahead and do this. Really a sad day in this board's history.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening board, good evening everyone else. My name is Ray Rodriguez. What can I tell you? I'm not really the board and all this other stuff. I'm here to tell you is like, look, I deal with gangs. And the hard thing right now to deal with is like, I know you have no toy drive, right? But there's some people that can't come to the toy drive because they can't receive toys, because they can't cross invisible boundaries because gangs, right? Well, during gangs, one will get along with the other one, the other will get along with the other one. That's what I see right here. It's like, it's not about how many numbers or anything, it's about the community. Right now, we're struggling just to get toys for those people that can't come to your toy drive. You know? And that's what I want to talk about. It's about the community. I'm not here to point out fingers and throw on people. I'm not about that. I'm here to help our people, our gente, those that really need it. You know, right now, about going back and forth, it's like the same neighborhoods. I kill you, you're going to kill somebody else. Well, you're this, we're going to get this. Well, that's what I see right now. We need to get together, collaborate, and make it happen. Because that's what we're trying to do, just to get toys for the people that can't come to your toy drive. And it's hard, because there's people out there that are not allowing us to rely. They have the power, but they're bickering about foolish things instead of bringing solutions to the problems that we have. Thank you.
Okay, you can go ahead, you can be on standby right there. So if you don't have to go to car, you can just, but you'll have to stand by next to the fire.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, and I agree with the prior comments here from stakeholders and all the remarks from the stakeholders. I haven't got ahead or heard anybody come up here and say, yes, reduce the size of the board. I've only heard comments from the stakeholders, as few as they are, but generally the choir anyway, that have taken the time to pass grievances, having the valid signatures, working hard, just to go ignore it. Like you're ignoring them tonight. I'm embarrassed here for this neighborhood council. I'm very disappointed in you, Marlene. You've been partisan through this whole thing. You've shown it tonight. It's unfortunate. Lastly, I'd like to ask the two young ladies, and I'm glad you're here. No, please don't take this the wrong way. Are they eligible to vote for this? I know it's not a financial thing, but is there certain training that they have to go through first before they can vote on these issues?
They've done the training. Yeah, they do, and we voted for Stakeholder on a number of items, and they've done the training.
Bottom line, they've done the training.
They've done it.
Okay, can Don ask, do they have to have some sort of training initially to vote on that?
Training
or what?
requirements only pertain to funding matters.
So as soon as they're seated, they can vote on this match. Okay. Appreciate it.
And one last comment.
Mr. Critter.
Mr. Kurtz and then Agri, any board member on deck?
Dear council members, just real quick, everyone, welcome to voluntary services. This is what happens. You get a group together, no matter how big it is, you'll have a cadre who will actually come and do the work. I'm going to tell you, do not believe that you need a smaller group to do it. I was the commander of the American Legion, Department of California. I had 85,000 members, right? I had a council of 40 to 40 members. We got things done. We didn't reduce it. We did it and we did it. If there was more, we got it done. So you don't need more, you don't need less. You just need the people that are there to work. Anything smaller, you actually end up with a less representative of the community. Please think about that. I know that you're now, and this is already passed, you've already voted on, I respect your votes. You know, but when you start realizing how you're going to do it, please think about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm glad to see the board moving forward to reduce the number of board members. I've been a stakeholder at these meetings for many years, and I've seen the bickering and all the nonsense going on. People who are complaining right now are having the board and make that bickering and all that non-work, waste of time happen. And I gotta see if you guys are moving forward. I've seen a lot of progress on this board over the last few months. You guys come on board, and I'd like to see that continue. Don't be disheartened by the time people wait. I did a good job. As far as being on collective efforts, I can say that the same person who stands here bashing you guys about the work, how it's all wrong, is the same person who got us the collective efforts. Antonio Manzano, when as treasurer, he failed to do his job, and I is where we're at right now. Collective efforts. So don't worry about that. You guys are doing a great job. Move forward. Next numbers right now, it's working fine with the NC. Please continue to move forward with the smaller board, and good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, is there any board comment on 16?
Can you repeat again for me, please?
We're on 6B.
I know.
That's the LA.
What would you like to be repeated?
The essence of what we're listening to. Yeah, what's on here? I just put the essence, give me a short synopsis.
Okay, since we've already voted to approve the reduction of members
Correct.
from 2115.
Correct.
The next motion on B addresses exactly how that reduction would be. So it's from each region will go from 4 members to 3 members, and the at-large directors will be at 2 members. Your seat, which is community.
Doesn't matter.
Yours is
Doesn't matter if you eliminate or you don't, you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
Yours remains the
And
same.
start that. Okay.
So we're talking about the reduction right now. So it would be from 4 to 3 in each of the regions, and the at-large would go from 4 to 2.
I myself, since I voted against the motion, it's fine, but I respect what the board has voted, and I'm gonna go with that and make my adjustments, whatever is necessary, to support the entire board, including those that didn't vote for it, or against it, to respect what the board is going to do now and support that 100%. So I'm definitely going to vote yes on the amendment, because that is what we're going for, right? To approve or not approve, how we're going to go about it. And I'm going to vote, and I hope that the rest of the board approves how we're going to do it, to explain it, and like listening to the constituents and their view on it, but I'm going to support the board on this. Because that's what's needed to come on board. Never mind how I thought. Doesn't matter.
In regards to the 4 members to the 3 members, what is our board right now? What do we consist of? How many members in each region? Who will be removed? Who will be replaced?
Again, nobody's gonna be removed, regardless, even if there is 4 members in a region, they're not gonna be removed from the board.
So what is the, let's say the not for week, or we're gonna be 3?
Once this, structure is approved, if you do choose to approve it, then it would be, addressed through attrition. So basically, like she said, as people, resign or through the next election process, then it would take place. You're not gonna kick anyone that's currently seated off the board.
So this is not something that's gonna happen right now, for anytime.
Right, it'll be a transitional process.
I will tell you that right now, West Region has 3 fills, East Region has 3 fills, North Region, only has 2 fills, and South Region only has 2 fills. At large right now currently has 4, we do have a resignation or removal on the agenda from at large, so there will be 3. This amendment reduces it to 2. I'm not sure if one of these could be moved down to one of the regions, if one of us lives in the region, or how that would work, but like she said, nobody's gonna be removed from the board to get to that number.
Not at this time.
Well, it could be in this term, but it would only be as people leave, as people resign.
And she
So
said attrition.
say there were 4 people in the West region right now, and one of them resigned, and this was approved, we just wouldn't fill that seat, if not,
Well, I understand the process. What I'm saying is right now, what we're standing at, we only need a north and a south.
as of right now, to complete 15,
Right.
or to complete to this proposal, yeah, we would only need to fill 1 from north and 1 from south. And again, we would have 1 extra in that large.
So I have a question regarding what we need. And where we have an overflow of a board member after this is hopefully passed, if we have an overflow of one of us, and if that person wishes, they can step down on that vacancy that's needed. So we don't have an overflow of that.
That's a good question, and that's actually what I was saying, I don't know. That's something that we haven't gone over, and I'll say again, like in at large right now, we have 4.
And you're gonna have 3. Say you need only 2.
Right.
Say that I decide to fill in one of those vacancies, then you would have that 2 that you need here, but then I fill one of the vacancies of whatever region it is, because I would be eligible.
Yeah,
to
but
fill
you're
it.
not at large. I mean, if we were gonna do that, it would preferably be from one of the categories that had more than the.
Right, but that's their option also.
No, you're not at large.
Yeah, but that's still at their prerogative to come from here to go there.
Who's prerogative?
The
individual board member?
Yeah, the member that's overflowing at whatever region, they can fill that vacancy before you go to the public,
Yeah, there.
we're still short, even though assuming that this is going to pass, we're still short 2 vacancies?
2.
North and south.
I would assume that the logical thing would be to take one of the at-large and put it into the region that they live in, or that they represent, that they rent, and they.
But they also, when we put someone from out there, forget the verbiage, and put them in here because they elected to run, whether they ran before and they get voted in, if we don't vote that person in, but we take someone from the public at large and we vote that person gets to fill a vacancy, right? Because we have 2 vacancies.
Right, I mean, the mechanism to fill vacancies hasn't changed.
Good. Okay, thank you.
So there's consensus from the board right now that if this is changed from 4 at-large directors to 2, the 3rd at-large director, whoever it is, will not be
No.
No, nobody's gonna be removed as a result.
Okay, so
Even
then,
if, again, even if we had 16 or 17, nobody would be removed.
no, yeah, for sure. So then, if no one will be removed, then can we make it clear in the motion if there's consensus that the at-large directors from 4 members to 2 will take effect next year unless someone steps down?
Well, it's
It's
immediate.
in writing on the letter from the department.
But it's not.
That's not a motion.
Not a motion yet. Until we amend it, until we have a motion.
I mean, you guys always have that prerogative if that's what you feel more comfortable.
So Nicholas, if you want to amend the motion, you can amend it.
That's not what you mean about that.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion to say the place.
Yeah, no, I'm taking great notes.
Cool. That the LA 32 neighborhood council reduced the number of each region from 4 members to 3 members for the,
2 members.
well, I was
Oh, I'm
reading
sorry.
for the regions and reduce the at-large directors from 4 members to 2 members, which will take effect next term unless one of the 3 directors resigns or moves to another.
Or any director resigns, any.
Well, no, it would only be for at-large, because that's what we're referring to.
So which will be, in effect, next term adjustment?
Unless one of the 3 or
So I have a concept again. When we sat everybody in, everybody that sat was from their own region. And let's see ran for that large. So the people that will be replacing the necessary seats to be filled will have to prove that they're from their region? Or can anybody just say, I'll represent North and I live in West? Like, how is that gonna work?
They can. If you have no one from that given region to fill that vacancy, then you go to the pool of whoever is available to fill the vacancy, no matter where they're from.
That's not true. The pool of candidates, if there was a candidate who ran in the election.
Right.
Then they can sit in any of the regions.
And that is if the board votes that person, because the board also has the prerogative of not voting that person in. It's not required that we vote that person in.
Right. But otherwise, if it's a stakeholder, yeah, they would have to be, affiliated with the region that they're gonna sit in.
But that's come from your bylaws.
Right.
What your stakeholder verification process is. Some neighborhood councils require documentation of stakeholder status. Some only have like signed affirmations, like, I testify that I am who I say I am, so this is something that you guys could, spell out further, in your bylaws if you wanted to, is how you were gonna verify stakeholder status going forward.
Christina?
Yeah, actually, second one.
You need a second on what they got.
It was just clarification on the maybe amended.
Public comment.
Okay, so we have an amendment, a motion to amend the motion, and we have a second.
Yeah.
Do you have public comment on this?
Yes.
Again, it's about being open and transparent. You're making arbitrary decisions. You're saying that what was not right when we were trying to fill the vacancy is now right. There's a contradiction here. You're going to move people from one slot in. Remember, past, which the then representative does not know because she's the first time she's been here to listen to this. But in the past, the vacancies were filled by those candidates that ran and didn't make it the first time automatically. Now you're saying the same thing now for those people that are going to be out. But you did not allow that at the last meeting. So it's arbitrary and not just. Thank you.
Well, I guess you achieved your first goal of strengthening your size to an exclusive level. Now you're working on how to keep it even more exclusive by playing semantical games with how you're going to fill and who and where you're going to put people in the vacancies. Again, the last board, everybody who wanted to get on the board at the 1 meeting of our action was given an affirmative vote. Here, people are attacking people maliciously You are slandering people at meetings, and basically you're letting your personal animosities get in the way of letting people get on this board who have a track record of achievement in this community. Why are you doing this? And one question, how many of you really went out and outreach on this vote? You only heard one negative when a petition was given to you close to 100 people in affirmative of keeping this board at 21. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda?
Thank you. I'm going to be brief, try to speak specifically to the amendment. I still keep in my mind, obviously, we all need an agenda. That's the first thing I want to go back to. Obviously, here, everyone out here has been disenfranchised. I've heard the word come up a couple times because we don't have nothing to look at. We don't have no material. We don't even know what you guys are discussing. You guys already premeditated this decision since the last meeting where you guys held the meeting illegally because you guys don't know your bylaws and there was no approval to change the date, time, and location from a Wednesday to a Monday. So you guys are like 5 steps backwards already. And the first thing that I've been waiting over there is I'm waiting for someone to reconsider. Because if someone would just reconsider their vote that just happened a little while ago, it would solve all the mess that you're already watching. We're not even 10 minutes into this, and you can see the mess already happening. I can see it over there. I'm trying to take notes. And I'm wondering, what is the board doing? They're not listening to the stakeholders. And that's what you guys are voted on, or for. Whoever I said is my West Region representative, you guys should be listening and be paying close attention and say, you know what? We need to do something positive here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, and, I think we should turn around because they should have been commenting on the amendment. So if we have board discussion, it's on the motion to amend. The motion,
I
not-
have a comment on the motion to amend.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I feel that to a certain degree, the stakeholders are correct in terms of saying that the board members in the past that ran and did not get elected to fill the vacancies that remained, they got on the board. That is correct. They got on because the board voted them on. We are now faced with the same thing, and we have the same option the last board had, to vote them in or not to vote them in. For whatever reason, the last board decided to vote them in, fine, I respect that. But this is another board. If you have the same responsibilities and the same option any other board has had anywhere to vote those same people in or not. So it's up to you when these people come up again running for a position to accept them or not when we vote on their being a member of this board. So you know, that's something to think about. Just because we didn't vote some of the people in the last time doesn't mean we have anything personal. We did vote for them. The amendment.
I have to excuse myself, but obviously we know we have a board member that's not feeling well, so you still have quorum. I'm gonna excuse myself for a moment, I'm gonna go drop them off and I will be right back. But if in case I don't make it by item 13 and 14 because of the Public Safety Committee, can you please table it for the next meeting so we can discuss it? Thank you very much. I'll be back.
Does anybody else have, any other board member have comment on the amendment? Okay, again, the motion went.
The motion was that, the LA 32 reduce the number of each regions, from 4 to 3 members and reduce it.
So we gotta vote on this, first.
I'm trying to read it, Mr. Travis, if you can just hold on right here. That LA 32 reduce the number of each region from 4 to 3 members and reduce the at-large directors from 4 members to 2 members, which will take effect next term unless 1 of 3 resigns or is removed.
That's the amendment, but we need to vote.
Which the at-large. That's why the last part says which will take effect next term unless 1 of 3 resign or is removed.
That's what we need to vote on only first, his amendment.
Oh yeah, but he was reading the whole.
Yeah, I don't have to read the whole thing, only your part. If that's what we're voting for, only on your part, not the whole thing.
Yeah, that's clear. We're not voting to pass this motion, we're voting to amend the motion to include the final sentence that Nick provided. Okay, so, all in favor?
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yes. Any no's?
Motion passes to amend, and so now we'll vote on the actual amended motion that he just read. Do you need it read again?
No.
Okay. So is there any public comment on the actual motion? Board discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote.
Okay, so all those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All those opposed? 1. All those abstain? So
2/3 of 10 is 7? 6 point something. 7. And you had 8 approvals? Okay. Okay, so motion passes. Moving on to item 6B. I'm sorry, 6C. Okay, this is the final motion in regards to the bylaw amendments. Yes, and that is that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council quorum be defined as a simple majority of the group, 2 for committees and 8 for general board. The changes for general board is now 8. Committees remains the same. Public comment?
Yes, I need Hugo Pacheco, Anthony Manzano.
Do we have somebody to move the motion first? I'm sorry.
I move the motion.
Appreciate the motion.
A second. Got me.
Point of clarification, would it be 11 now that it's changed?
It's changing this, for this motion, it's changes to 8. The simple majority of 15 is 8. Go ahead. Secretary.
Sometimes you wonder, or at least I do, you have a done representative that doesn't know any of the beginning of the history of this group here, right?
No, that's not correct.
She's, we can tell over there, and we're filming her, she's got the same attitude Michelle had last time, okay? You're changing the quorum. You have to. You already changed the number of people, so by law you have to. But the thing here is, again, I will repeat myself. This is arbitrary, and you're also disenfranchising people. And I'm glad the gun representative used that word, because that is going to be the most important argument we're going to have on this issue. Thank you.
Yes, I spoke to them, they should be on deck already.
Not the lady. Farmer. There.
What do you want to do? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Thank you, directors. I believe this is item 6C now, and we're talking about quorum, which is obviously a standard that needs to be maintained for reducing the board, which seems obvious. It's logical, it's practical. Some of you guys studied this, some of you guys try to implement this here. But what's happening is you guys are trying to fix something that's already been premeditated. It's obviously that there was coercion, collusion, premeditation, manipulation, whatever word you like to call it, it's just a synonym. Quorum, though, is going to be difficult to achieve because now there's 2 thresholds now. One is I have a grievance submitted, which you've heard, that the community is a stakeholder initiative petition is what it is. And once that's heard, obviously you guys have to decline it because the stakeholders said go to 21. So you guys already ignored the public because the stakeholder initiative with signatures said, please fill the seats. There was an election, please get to 21. And today you guys just said, bye.
You know, can we please refrain from the derogatory?
And the
Seriously.
we don't got it.
And that's out of order, and that will be noted in the minutes. That's your first.
Speaking on this same item of forum, I think it'd be good for this we NC to have this smaller forum, because then we get things done. People here obviously wanna slow the process down and make comments and just grind it down so that nothing gets done. We've been here how long? The same people over and over and over again.
complaining about the same thing. So I'm glad to see that hopefully this quorum could be achieved at 8. One of the people that comes up here, Johnson, and the stakeholder in this community, doesn't live, work, own property here, and is here making things harder for you guys, for the community, to move forward positively. So thank you very much for being here. I hope this gets passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you put the comments already?
I put a public comment 6C.
Oh, you didn't do 60 yet?
There's one, but it doesn't have a name.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought you commented.
No, I put one sheet for each one. I'm not gonna respond to the disparaging comments made by the person in front of me, but I will am to respond to is that if any group of people had a track record of disparaging comments, disparaging action towards stakeholders, I'm looking at some of them, okay? Mr. Manzano had worked years in this community, grew up in this community, and for him to be treated like that, Marlene, you should be a leader. When people get frustrated like that, it's because there's an absence of leadership and being inclusive with people that you may have a disagreement with, philosophically or personally, but that's what you get, okay? This is what the board is going to get when you make yourself exclusive, okay? When I look at the non-representative and Michelle over here trying to sustain your smile on their laps, I have to wonder, okay? I have to wonder what's going on here, because previously, on the last board, when our done representative without making comment to put on his office efforts, when we actually got documentation, it wasn't true. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We open up for board discussion. Board members, anybody want to say something in regards to item 6C? Nobody? Okay, we'll go ahead and take our vote. The motion?
Yes, the motion that was made by Capricia, seconded by Mr. Chavez, the motion that LA 32 neighborhood council quorum be defined as a simple majority of the group, 2 for committees and 8 for the general board.
Thank you.
All those in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 yes. All those opposed? 1. Abstain? Motion passes 8-1-1.
Thank you. Okay. 8:20. Moving on to item number 7. This is discussion and possible action of another motion that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council does not support the development located at 5639 East Huntington Drive North and recommends that LA 32 prepares the community impact statement on the historical value of the location. This motion came out of the land use committee, but it was prior to me being on the committee, so I don't have a background on it, and Angela stepped out, but I know we do have Mr. Lau is here, and I know it's your property, Mr. Lau, but as far as the land use committee goes, somebody who can explain the motion or how they came about it. Mr. Garcia, can you please explain to the board what the motion and your reasoning behind it, how the committee came about it?
What's on the property?
We need the mic.
The motion comes from,
And describe the property and because I don't think they know anything about it.
you see the address, the property?
39.
Yeah, property is 100 Drive, 639, and it's, he's asking for, the variance zone change. A variance to knock down the house and build right, drastically spread it home to build,
It's not in between, I'm sorry, I guess.
well, it's an historic overlay zone that's proposed by councilman members, the Bizarre. And the community came out several meetings and they were really against the destruction of this property because they would interfere with their privacy, with the overall, just the character of the community in that area of Terreno. And I think also they didn't want that density to bring in more traffic, less parking, and they have concerns about trash and overall just the, what do you call it? The well-being of the community with that change. And so the community came out, they spoke, and that was the decision of the committee, finance committee, to disapprove the project, and I think that was it.
Can you explain to them what you said it's an overlay zone?
It's a historic preservation overlay zone that's being considered for that area. It's Sereno, it's Huntington Drive, Kendall. I think it's also part of Maycrest, and it's historic homes. This home was built in 1923, if I'm correct, right? And it's right next door to another historic home, and those two properties have been I guess deemed as, valuable for the overlay zone. Sorry, contributing home to the overlay zone. And so I think the ordinance passed already by city council saying that any homes that are within the sort of overlay zone would not be demolished until that was figured out. So the committee came out and opposed it in great numbers. There's quite a few members who opposed it because of the privacy issues, trash, traffic, and some of them even said that with the lawsuit it just went through. So they're adamant about this project.
So, yeah, he's gonna speak. He has a comment and he will speak. I just wanted to clarify, when you talk about HPOZ, those are like the communities where, all the homes are, like he said, historical, they might be craftsmen, they might be whatever the case may be, and the owners of the homes have to get permission, right, special permissions to like paint, so that they keep the character of the area. I don't know if that better explains it for those of you who aren't.
So, just for point of clarification, I don't think we mentioned what would be built on top of what was going to be demolished.
Well, we're gonna have a board discussion after, so we do have a public comment from, we have a comment from the owner, Mr. Lau. Mr. Lau.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and all members. And my name is David Lau. I'm the applicant for the project at 5639 Huntington Drive. And this item actually came up on the agenda like the last meeting. And at that time, I was providing an update in terms of what the process is with the city. And so basically, the city asked for historical review to be done. So, a consultant has been hired, and the report has been submitted to the city, and the city is doing the review right now. And I remember at the last meeting, the board voted on it and to hold out until further notice. And for me, I didn't understand why this item comes up again on the agenda. So Angela was telling me about certain technical things, and I didn't quite catch the drift of it. So yeah, so again, I'm here to respectfully request, since the city is doing the review on the historical value, and particularly this item right now, the way this is worded is for the historical part. So I would suggest that we let the experts decide on this.
Okay, thank you.
Follow up on it.
Next one will be Anthony Lozano. Then we'll go to the one
Good evening, directors. I've not worked with the gentleman because I've only met him at some of the meetings, but this stakeholder or homeowner property has come to the meetings, been vigilant, participated, and sort of been welcomed by the community. We understand that there is a consideration for an HPOZ in that area, which is the Berkshire district, perhaps, if you want to call it that, or specifically it'd be called the Shortline Via Tract, which is the name of the tract in that area. But to maybe put positions, restrictions, or to not support the gentleman based on items outside from community meetings would be arbitrary, like what some of the other stakeholders have mentioned. Please consider what the stakeholders are bringing. Please listen to the homeowner, the property owner, and please be vigilant. Yes, it is a HPOZ property, but you have to have some type of development. Thank you very much.
Watch everyone, Scott Johnson.
You know, there's a rights for private property for every individual that buys this property. And you also can be a victim of the bureaucracy, and especially those people that don't understand this. In Lincoln Heights, I was very involved in the historical preservation overlay zone. More people can get hurt with these kind of things. And it's usually people of means that do that for communities, for purposes. And so you got to be a little careful in terms of how you support them. Now, what I also hear is this has not been approved HBOs yet. This individual still have private property rights. Give them that benefit. Thank you.
Scott Johnson.
One of the more paramount decisions the neighborhood council can make affects how a person views their property, their investment. For most people, property is their main investment in life. They work hard, they buy, and they should have a right to develop within reason what they can do. I should state for the record, I was at the meeting, and the property owner here was up against some opposition, including people who have access to the powers of City Hall, Montezuma, Esparza, who used to sit on the California Pension Board. Okay? This is a property owner that can't afford a high power attorney. But what he needs is objective listening by the council. And I would request that because the other person who has more background as this is not here, table this. So he has a fair, objective hearing. Thank you very much.
Anybody else have a thought? Or discussion? Nick?
Just because I feel that we don't have enough information on this item as of now, I feel like we should table this. In my opinion, just based off what I'm hearing, I wouldn't support the development of this because it is the person's private property, and in a sense, it's probably just people in a higher economic class trying to gentrify a neighborhood. But since we don't have all of this information at our disposal, I would like for us to table it. That way we can make the most informed decision.
Anyone else?
I motion to table this.
You're making a motion to table? I'll second that motion. There is a motion on the floor.
Yeah, there was no motion yet, it's just a discussion on the.
Right, we had Mr. Garcia explain the
Right.
motion. And then, so you're making a motion to table the.
Yeah, we don't have a motion, so we can just.
Table it. You're making a motion to table it?
Well, there's no additional motion.
Oh, okay.
Even if there was, you can still do what you're doing.
Okay, sure.
Anybody can still have to roll that motion with some other time.
Okay,
It happens if there isn't. Either way, he's right.
Mr. Law, can we ask a question of you? Mr. Law.
Good evening, Mr. Law. I'm just wondering, what is stopping you to building by right away? Is it?
Yes, what's stopping me now is because the city planning department wanted a report done from a historical consultant to either to determine whether that home is of historical value and what the boundary of the HBO is going to be. So, the city's Office of Historic Resources is reviewing the report right now.
Okay.
And then, well, obviously, with any development, there's a long, the planning approval is only the first step. And there are like building and all these other approvals. So from here to being able to start construction, we're still talking about a long process.
Do you have to type any variances?
No, everything is by right. And yeah, because, no, and even the square footage was way below what was allowed in terms of the square footage.
Do you know when the city may have a determination on the area?
Don't know, I have to check with my consultant and get an update, but as of, this afternoon, I have not received any, notice on.
Marlene, if you table it, I'd like to know for when, because people, as this committee member, residents who oppose this have asked, like, when will it be on the agenda, and like, since it's been postponed and postponed, they're not here to speak for themselves. A lot of them that would like to come and tell the board what they feel, their opinion about this project. It's not fair that they're not here right now, because it was tabled for so long. So we're gonna table it, let them know for when, let them know, and they can come in here, and they can speak on their behalf.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to the residents.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
Yes, I'd like to ask the gentleman,
Yes.
what is it you're trying to build there? If there's been so much controversy, is it union, the condos, or just apartments, or a bigger house? Like there is in Arcadia, that takes a whole lot?
No. It's nothing like that. Yeah, these are called, small lot developments. These are like basically townhome type of, homes that are more, environmentally friendly and up to date in terms of, the
How many
amenities.
units?
We're talking about 9 units.
There are 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, singles, what do you?
Mostly 2 bedrooms. Mostly 2 bedrooms. And these, in terms of the number of units and the square footage, they are all under the determined by the zoning code, and I'm not asking for any.
How's the parking? Well, how much are you required to park there? Are you allowing 2 cars per unit?
Yes,
or 1 car per unit?
there are 2 cars, and then some units has 3 cars.
In the property?
Yes.
Because after your build is gone, there's 10 cars out there in the street from the same unit.
Right. And I believe these items have been discussed during the land use committee meetings. And so I'm waiting for the ruling from the historic resources in order to move on, because I don't know what to do right now, actually. But I'm just trying to just, keep this thing alive, because it is, a lot of effort and so on. And I do believe that I'm providing building nice quality homes for the neighborhood, and which is, and that's my intention. I'm not trying to just come in and squeeze and push people aside. Some of the neighbors might have interpreted it differently, but that's absolutely not my intention to do it. So, and I believe what's on the agenda right now is basically making reference to the historical value, and that's and not to like talk about the project, afresh, like talk about the pros and cons. That I think that falls under the authority of the land use committee. So if you just look at the item narrowly, so basically this says, whether the board would make a statement to that effect. And what I'm saying is, since we don't have all the facts and the experts are still reviewing the projects, we should, just hold on it.
I want to remind the city that.
I'm sorry.
As a land use member, the community spoke on this. As a land use committee member, I hear the community speak to me, and I give back what I'm hearing.
Right.
And there was overall like a support for this project in the community.
Right. You're
not
speaking
the
on
city,
their behalf.
anybody else. The community came out in force and said, we don't want this in our community.
Yeah.
So just so you know, the land use
Okay, yeah, thank you. And I just did hear from Angela, who was the chair of the committee at the time, and she is asking that it be tabled as well. And I don't want to continue with this discussion if we are going to table the item, number one. Number two, I think what we need from the committee is an actual report with all this information for the board, because when we're looking at this, we don't know what he's building, so we will work on getting reports from committees before we have to make a decision like this. So we're talking about tabling the item. Is there any objection to table the item? Okay. The item number 7 will be tabled. Item number 8 is the discussion and possible action on using a new vendor for website maintenance. This is really no longer applicable.
I have a clarification. Since we just tabled that, for the gentleman in the back, he needs to know.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Yes, I know.
When is the date to be tabled, so.
Right, I don't know. I'm gonna talk with Angela. She's on her way back, but I'm gonna talk with her and say, like I said, she has more knowledge on this and how long it's been in that approval phase. So I'll talk to her and then we'll get the information too.
Thank you.
Okay, so item number 8 is no longer applicable at this point, right, Commissioner? We talked about it for bid, but all our kinks have been worked out with Mr. Devandry for now.
For now, yes.
Okay, so we're not gonna entertain this at this point. We're gonna remove this item.
It's up to the discretion of the chair, really.
I know, that's what I think, but I don't know if we're going based on past practice or what. With the absence of standing rules, it makes things a little difficult.
Marlene, one clarification, when you table, you're tabling a motion. Since there's no motion, this item dies.
It died, no? Yeah. No, unless somebody makes a motion, just carry on with the agenda. I don't know if it's done.
But I don't want to have to put it on the next agenda.
You don't have to do anything.
We don't have to.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so since you don't have a standing rule that requires it being brought over, it's your discretion, every time you set the agenda, we just put on the agenda, right?
Right, so let's move on.
Okay, so we're yeah, that item is being removed. Item number 9. If there's no opposition, we're gonna table it because there's nobody here to speak on this. No opposition? No. Okay, item 10 is also no longer applicable. It's going to be removed from the agenda. Same for item 11. No. Oh, wait, creation of ad hoc committee to conduct research and recommendation. No, what we do need is a ad hoc committee to write the standing rules, but this was to make recommendations to the bylaw committee. That we don't. It's not a motion right now to amend though. The bylaw chair, no, we don't have a bylaw chair. That's on the agenda to reassign them because Raymond resigned as the chair of the bylaw committee.
So that's vacant right now.
The standing rules?
Since it's not bylaw.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, you guys as the board can delegate whoever you wish to put together this menu. So the one thing is on this agenda item, it kind of, rather than, you didn't write the agenda item in a way that says, you know, we will discuss and take action to delegate the writing of standing rules to blah, blah, blah. You specifically put creation of ad hoc committee. So you kind of lock yourself in a little bit with that language. So I would say,
Last board had an ad hoc committee.
so you can either move this motion and then amend it. Well, you can make a motion based on this agenda item and amend it, but, you know, or you might just.
What would the amendment read like, amendment?
It wouldn't be an amendment, but somebody, if we wanted to discuss this item, somebody could make a motion to put in place an ad hoc committee to create standing rules.
But you don't want an ad hoc committee, right? You want to do the executive. Or what are you going to do?
Not the executive. We need a separate from that.
be allowed to do
The
some.
semantics were involved here, the right verbiage.
No, it's not semantics, it's making a
Yeah,
decision.
these are right words.
No,
Okay.
no, it's making a decision of who you want to do the work,
Yes.
that's not
But
semantics.
it's the title what we're having problems with.
Right, but the title
That's
means,
semantics, is using the proper verbiage.
okay, I'm disagreeing with you, sir.
Yeah,
You
that's
need to
right.
make a decision, do you want an
Right.
ad hoc to do it, do you want the bylaws committee to do it, or do you want the executive board to do it? You have at least three different choices,
Or do you want a combination of all three?
which would basically be that.
Right.
Ad hoc committee with the youth.
And that's what's on the agenda. So
Because
you
the ad hoc
can't
makes
vote on that.
recommendations to the bylaws committee.
Okay,
And then the bylaws committee takes all that, whatever came from the ad hoc.
I'd like to see an ad hoc committee created for this.
Second motion.
That's my opinion.
I second the motion. Is
That's
that
not a
a
motion.
I second the motion. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Motion's been seconded.
No.
Did you make it? Okay, I make the motion that we have an ad hoc committee. Is that what we need?
Ad hoc committee for what? To
For the-
create
Correct.
Read the word, to create.
standing rules.
Good, yeah. That's what we had at the last board, to create the standing rules.
Okay, so Ruben has made a motion to create an ad hoc committee to create standing rules,
Correct.
to develop standing rules, to write standing rules.
Whatever the
Whichever.
need is, whatever the need.
All of the
Because
above.
there's two objectives to this statement. And it's saying bylaws committee and to create a standing rule ad hoc committee. So who just appointed, you want to see that out maybe?
Well, we'd have to appoint people to it.
Right, but it's saying the organization of the bylaws committee, but we don't even have a bylaws committee right now, so we're kind of running on.
We have a committee, we just don't have a chair.
But you could amend, once you move the motion, you could amend it to eliminate the bylaws.
That's what I'm saying, it should be removed.
So dictate what our need is and I'll move the motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna withdraw that motion. I think,
I second that. I remove my second.
okay, thank you.
Well, you have to.
But I would like to make a motion that the executive committee go ahead and create the standing rules.
The thing is, you don't have that on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay, we need an ad hoc, that's on the agenda.
Okay, well, I will try my motion. It's up to the rest of the board if you want
So,
to move a motion.
sorry, I guess I just want to ask clarification. What is the purpose of the bylaws? I know we can't
The bylaws committee is to address the bylaws.
Yeah, so if it's the purpose of the bylaws to address, of the bylaws committee to address the bylaws, I would assume that would entail revisions, which entails standing rules.
Standing rules are separate from bylaws.
Different organizations, two organizations.
But so, okay, so our bylaws doesn't even, our bylaws committee won't handle the guiding procedures of our organization?
If you read our bylaws, what the bylaw committee does, it doesn't talk about standing rules.
Yeah, so it's really, it's a mess right now, it's too ambiguous.
The standing rules committee will review the bylaws and will tweak whatever they feel they need to tweak, and then they'll present that to the bylaws committee. Then the bylaws committee will have to approve or retweak or whatever it is. Whatever the recommendations are from the standing rules committee.
That's, you can do it that way, or you can establish an ad hoc that presents directly to the board. You have options,
Yes.
is what I'm saying.
That's kind of being redundant, if you have the ad hoc do all that work they're gonna do, and then have to go to the bylaws committee, and then they're gonna rehash the same thing.
Right, exactly.
And why do you need ad hoc?
And my concern is if the bylaw committee, they're still reviewing the rest of the bylaws, and we've entertained one section, but there's still the rest, and if they make any changes, then, and we have standing rules can only address what's in the bylaws, right? It can't be anything that, it could be.
The standing rules have to comply with the bylaws, in other words, they can't violate the bylaws, but the point of standing rules, well, there's many points to it, but one of the points is to address things that you don't want to put in your bylaws, things that you either want to
Things you wanna change.
Right, things you want to have flexibility around changing, or things that will just jump up the bylaws too much with details. Like, for example, something that I'm gonna recommend when we work on standing rules, whoever you delegate, is I'm gonna recommend a process for you guys to get a standardized report out of your committees, right? So that what you had tonight with planning and land use, you have a standardized form, the board would have already reviewed the recommendations and, who's in favor and who's opposed. And so you don't need all of that level of detail in your bylaws.
This is something that would be,
That makes
constituents,
a
the
lot of sense.
constituents were addressing exactly those points.
Right, exactly.
I don't, how do you say that? Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it up to the board. If you don't, if you guys wanna, if you think it's in the best interest now to create an ad hoc committee, then somebody can go ahead and make a motion to open it, please.
To discussion, and then we got more detail, and we want to get down, and then discuss it. That's a vision.
Or just, it may delay getting us off a restricted, whatever it's called. The longer you prolong this thing. Yeah, that's the last requirement we need to meet to get off of it. And that means we can't spend any money on the community. That's what I want, spend money on them.
I'd like to make a motion to create a bylaws, standing rule ad hoc committee that will propose standing rules to the
Bylaws committee.
no, to the board.
To the executive board.
To the executive board. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to create an ad hoc committee a standing rules ad hoc to propose, to make recommendations to the executive committee.
I have a problem with that. It really ties up the executive committee on bylaws, and they should be tied up on other matters of the board.
So, to create standing rules ad hoc committee, to make recommendations to the executive committee. So that's it, okay, so to create
We don't need a bylaws committee.
To make recommendations to the executive committee regarding standing.
So we have a motion to make an ad hoc committee to create standing rules to submit to the executive board. Public comment?
Can I have Mr. Scott Johnson and Tim Mazama on the board?
Goodness. I'm not sending you a can of heat up. He really struck out there.
If this board wants to be inclusive and utilize the brain trust that's in this audience, you do make an ad hoc committee. Okay? We have a gentleman here, American Legion. You have bylaw people who served on the last board. Hugo Pacheco, Anthony Mazzano, Tom Williams, myself. Okay? But what I want to say is that the Dunn representative found some agreement here is that we need to have a process of documenting this stuff, because when I went to ask for documentation, what happened in the bylaws committee, I did a public record request, and nothing was ever returned. And I would hope that whatever documentation has been done on bylaws is being made public. I know when we went to one meeting, there was made public about the change in the board composition, but I would hope there's no other information being done out there that would have constituted a serial meeting done open to the public. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I don't even know what item I'm tweaking on it, but it's going to be specific directly to the ad hoc committee. But I think Nick has it, I don't want to mention my name, but I think one of the directors has it pretty close. Obviously, the bylaws committee should be reviewing, be aware, understand, and be able to comprehend the bylaws as an entity. The bylaws are a product. So that committee should already know what's inside the bylaws. Therefore, they should already know what standing rules should be implemented, because they have something to gauge themselves with. So basically, the first level of reviewing this would be the bylaws committee. There's no need to appoint an extra ad hoc committee to review something that they don't even have read, and the bylaws even haven't even read it, because no one knows what they're doing out here anyways. But the whole idea is that the bylaws committee is already semi-assigned to reviewing this. What I would do is amend it and take the colleagues, director's suggestion and have the bylaw committee as a whole review this. They're already assigned to the bylaws as a project, have them do this, standing rules.
Point of clarification, are there even members on bylaws? Yeah. Okay, who are the members on bylaws? Okay. And who about that?
I think I'm another one in the bylaws.
You're not a bylaw.
No?
No, this is an economics.
Hey, Chihuahua.
I was the previous bylaw chair and also the previous standing rules chair. The bylaws, the way you run your organization in terms of laws specific to what you're doing at meetings. The standing rules is the procedures that you use. So in this, and that's the problem that we had, and the only ones on our committee and so was Ruben. The problem we were having is that people didn't really understand the bylaws. So then you ask us to clarify how do you carry out the bylaws. We tried it. And the first time we tried, it was a mess, the whole meeting. It took up the whole meeting trying to figure out. All we were doing was taking the standing rules to Venice because our so-called Dunn representative from councils was from there, and it didn't get passed. So I think first what really needs to be done is a review of the bylaws. And let me remind Nick, Dunn gave us these bylaws. I asked him, how come they're so screwed up?
Anybody else for that? Okay, one discussion to create an ad hoc committee for planning rules.
Anybody?
Take a vote.
Well, wait, I want to say something. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was ready to move.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I do believe we most definitely need an ad hoc committee, but not burden the executive. They have their own problems, they're reviewing so many things, they're making decisions. To get them involved, to go and look into the bylaws, it takes forever. Even on one little point, with the 2 or 3 people of the board and anyone from the audience that wants to go to those meetings, because it's open to everybody. And let me tell you, it takes a long time to go through it and to put this on the shoulders of the execs. I just think it's really uncalled for. You need to have the bylaws committee report to the bylaws, the standing committee is what I meant to say. Standing rules committee, and they are going to tweak and review all of that, and then they give their review, their report to the bylaws committee. Then the bylaws committee, after they decide whatever, then they take it to the exec, as everything from any committee does have to go to the exec, so it can get agendized to come back to us, and then we have the option to also review it and tweak it or not to tweak it.
So for clarification, are the standing rules in the bylaws?
No.
So there would be no significance. Okay.
But I need to clarify with Nick. When you said for the executive committee, do you mean just to present
The standing rules to the executive committee so that it can get on the agenda?
Yeah, so generally it's good practice to forward and whatever you want.
Right, you weren't saying that the executive committee, he was not, Mr. Chavez, you're thinking that he's saying the executive committee to write the standing rules or to be involved? He's gonna, the ad hoc committee would present it to the executive committee, which is necessary anyways to get it on the agenda.
Yeah, but when the bylaws committee hears from the standing rules committee, then they can go back and forth and take all the time. By the time it gets to the exec and everything else gets to the exec doesn't spend all that kind of time because they take the word of the given committee, whatever they went through the process. That's why we tabled this lady's thing for some other time, this real estate thing, because we have to take what the committee's, opinion was, and that's what the bylaws committee will do from the standing rules committee when they tweak all of those things. It's an assistance, and the bylaws committee is what governs how we run our business in the, NC here.
So I have two concerns. First of all, I think the standing rules need to go hand in hand with the bylaws. So if any committee is going to be reviewing standing rules, I think it would be best to give it to the bylaw committee. Now, in order for the bylaws to be worked on, the people who are working on the standing rules, the committee who's working on standing rules, whether it's AFA committee or given to someone else, they need to know the bylaws because they do work hand in hand. Okay, that's my first concern. My second concern is that today is the first time I hear that we need to have standing rules addressed in order to exit exhaustive measures. I don't recall that being a condition in the past. We had other conditions, but I do not recall.
It's been mentioned several times here. Yeah, because I even asked what on two different occasions when the lady was here, the other lady from Dunn was here. And that's what she said.
It seems that more requirements have been given to the neighborhood council in order to exit exhaustive efforts. That was not an initial requirement.
It was. She's looking for the minutes to see if there's minutes.
I don't know what was imposed on the previous board. Actually, I have that letter too, but I think it's obsolete at the time. I mean, now. So this letter as of May 7th does say revision of bylaws and standing rules. And it's 9 o'clock.
But it's not initial to the stakeholders, but not initial to the
It's not what?
That was not an initial requirement.
Oh.
Expressed to stakeholders and to
Yeah.
To when the previous board got placed on exhaustive efforts, it wasn't one of the conditions you're saying? Okay, so for this board, the letter we got, it was one of the conditions.
Madam President, I have a point of interest here. I'd like to make a motion to extend this meeting till 9:30 because it's already 9 o'clock and if we're discussing, unless you want to end it now and not go, I leave it up to you. Otherwise, I'll withdraw my motion. It's up to you. Making the motion.
You're making a motion to extend the time, right? Okay,
but somebody's got a second.
Wait a second. Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Go ahead and take the vote. The motion to extend time to 9:30. Seconded by Nick.
Yeah.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Sorry.
Gotta get this business done. Yeah, I voted for it.
Yes, no. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Opposed and four.
Opposed. No, go home.
1, 2, 3, 4 opposed.
No, she voted for it.
Yes, or no.